Become a sponsor today by visiting patreon.com/psychologyis.
In all of your experience interviewing serial killers and investigating them, do they ever feel remorse? Is there ever a moment when they realize and actually feel the weight of what they've done?
Great question. Great question. And I'm going to refer the two that I know the best and have spent the most time researching and actually spent time with are David Berkowitz, who called himself Son of Sam or was referred to as Son of Sam, and then Dennis Rader, who called himself Bind, Torture, Kill. Now, Dennis Rader is he's been referred to by professionals as a malignant narcissist and psychopath. He is on the if there's a spectrum of psychopathy from high to low, he is on the highest end of psychopath. People simply mean nothing to him. Does he feel remorse? Does he express remorse? No. He in fact, he flips it around. He does what's called we call it in criminology a neutralization technique. He turns it around and says, God made me this way, so how dare you say to me that I'm doing something wrong? I'm a natural born predator, like a hawk or a shark. He actually refers to himself as a shark. He says, so I'm no different. Would you blame a great white shark for doing what it does? Well, then no. Then why would you blame me? I'm just doing God's will. I mean, talk about circular reasoning. So with someone as extreme as him, no, you're not gonna get a sense of remorse. John Wayne Gacy, who called the killer clown, dressed up like the clown in children's hospitals. And by the way, I think there's a Netflix documentary coming out on him pretty soon. He famously, his last words before being executed by lethal injection, they asked him if he had any last words. He said, yes, kiss my ass. So that was pretty much all he had to say about his sense of, remorse. But, and a lot of people, I've been had some criticism about this one too, but it's my perspective on it. David Berkowitz, the Son of Sam, is a horse of a different color, if you will. I do not believe that he is a psychopath. He has never been identified as a psychopath. I believe he was an extremely emotionally troubled youth and who was looking for meaning in his life, some kind of purpose. And he sought that purpose through Satanism. And he did come to believe, he had it all twisted in his mind, that if somehow he killed for Satan, that he would find the meaning and the purpose that he was looking for. He was not clinically mentally ill. He was not psychotic, schizophrenic. He didn't have psychotic episodes. He's not a psychopath. And as such, he has had, he's been in prison for more than 40 years now. He has experienced what he calls a spiritual awakening. He believes that, or he calls himself a born again Christian, and he no longer refers to himself as Son of Sam. He now calls himself the Son of Hope. And believe it or not, again, truth is stranger than fiction. He has been adopted by the evangelical Christian community, and they have adopted him as almost like the poster boy of redemption. And there is a Christian website devoted to him, and the URL is ariseandshine.org, and it's received hundreds of thousands of hits all over the world by people who now find him as a source of inspiration for turning their own lives around. So David has become something of a jailhouse pastor, a minister, and he actually leads the congregation in prison in the chapel on Sundays, and he believes he's doing God's good work. Now, when I met him some years ago in upstate New York at the Sullivan County Correctional Facility, which is like a maximum security fortress up there in the Catskills. He literally wept with me over his victims and prayed for forgiveness with me. He insisted that I pray with him for forgiveness for his sins. Like I say, he's a born again Christian. I've had many people scoff at this, but I'll tell you that I believe that he believes it. Do I believe it? I'm not sure. If he's acting, then he's the Daniel Day-Lewis of serial killer actors, because he's quite convincing, even with his tears in prison 40 years later. But I believe that he believes it. And there are those who believe and say that he has done so much to help. He writes to cancer patients all over the world. He does all sorts of things, trying to make amends. And my feeling is he's never going anywhere. He's going to die there in Sullivan Correctional Facility. And if his letters and his ministry help some people, why not? Let him do it.
Yeah.
So he expresses tremendous remorse for his sins.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Do you wouldn't, I imagine you wouldn't trust this transformation enough to vote for him to be set free?
No. And he didn't like that either. I'll accept him at face value, and he's doing this, good work, helping. He does all sorts of things in prison. Not only is he like a spiritual advisor and spiritual guide for other patients. They're all lifers where he is at Sullivan Correctional Facility. Many of them have physical impairments and other impairments. So he's the mobility guide. He helps them go to the cafeteria. He does all kinds of things. And then like I said, he's got this sort of jailhouse ministry, his website, where he's helping people, cancer patients, people who have been searching for meaning in their own lives. They say that his words comfort them, and so forth. So let him do it. But no, I would never suggest letting him out in society. I think he's given up the right, by all the people that he's harmed. In addition to those that he killed, I mean, there are victims out there who are paralyzed for life, and I think he's given up his right to be out in society.